I've had deep experiences with psychedelics, really deep insights. I thought I understood the world. And I talk about this. Maybe 10 years ago, I led a retreat with ayahuasca. And under the impact of the plant, I was really a guru. I mean, I was really right on. I was, insightful and compassionate, and I could see through people's stuff, and I could guide them to reality. And I thought, okay, hey, I've made it, folks. Then I arrived home, and my wife just picks me up at the train station, and she just had a haircut that I was totally upset by. All of a sudden, life wasn't worth living because of this haircut that my wife had. So this is how enlightened I got, That's all of a sudden, I look at my partner, and I don't like what I see, and all of a sudden, I get all discombobulated. And that's my particular neurosis. But that ayahuasca experience and all the insights I had did not liberate me from my neurosis, or having to have my woman looking a certain way. That's how dependent I still was. So the greatest insights and experiences lead you nowhere unless you integrate them. And as you say, that integration takes work. And so what I've learned, and what I emphasize more and more now, in fact, what I emphasize most now, is the experience opens the door, but you're the one who has to walk through the door. And having the window open or the door open does not get you to the other side. And that's a lot of work. And so it's like with every other kind of spiritual work. You can also have great realizations on the meditation cushion. And people do have these direct experiences of Godhood. But it leads them nowhere unless they transform their lives. And for it to transform their lives, those intentions and those insights, those intuitions need to be integrated. And that's daily work. And there's nothing that substitutes for daily work. And I have to say, people, if it's a question of having great insights on the one hand or daily regular work on the other, choose the daily work. Forget the great insights, forget the great experiences. Now, if you can combine the two, powerful support, one for the other. But the work is the key. Some disengagement from the daily grind, some time that's devoted to your core essence or to exploring it. So for me, and with my ADHD, I was never a great meditator. I mean, I could sit there on a meditation cushion, and if I was present for 10 seconds out of 20 minutes, I could declare victory. However, I've also thought I wasn't a yoga person, but 2 years ago, I found a yoga practice that if I don't do daily now, I suffer. And when I do it, it really supports me. It puts me in touch with my body, it stills my mind, and it provides a break to my constantly running egoic mind, so that I experience myself as somebody different than just somebody who's always engaged in thought and talk and process. So that's my particular way. Journaling, which is observing yourself and writing about it, so that there's that observer self that you're actually strengthening. An observer self is not the same as the daily, rattled, ordinary self. Group work. The Buddha talked about the Dharma, the Sangha, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha meaning our inner two selves, the Dharma being the path, the Sangha being community. Are you having contact with others who are on the same path? Or do you just belong to a bunch of Facebook groups where you discuss what are the odds of Leicester City winning the FA Cup again? So is there some connection with others who are on the same path? For some people it'll be meditation. For some people it'll be communing with nature. For some people it'll be revisiting the psychedelic experience, but without the plant, without the drug, without the substance. Just putting themselves in that space on a daily basis. Some kind of practice, which has to be regular. Speaking of meaning, it wasn't with ayahuasca, I'll come to that in one moment. It was with another plant called iboga that I was participating in a ceremony earlier this year, and somebody asked me, what is the meaning of life? And this is when I was under the effect. And the immediate answer that came up is, life is its own meaning. Which I thought was a great line. I don't know that I can live that in my regular existence, but I thought it was the only answer that was needed. But it takes a lot to recognize that life is its own meaning. Now, yes, after my book on addiction came out, it just been published in England, but in North America, it appeared 10 years ago. I kept getting a lot of questions about what I knew about psychedelic plants, particularly ayahuasca, in the treatment of addiction. And my answer was I knew nothing at all until the answer, in fact, I should say the question became somewhat annoying to me because I just spent 3 years writing a book. How about asking me something I knew about rather than this one thing I didn't know about? But it so happened that I was exposed to the plant and I had the opportunity to experience its impact myself. And at the first use of the plant within a ceremony led by a Peruvian shaman, I understood why people were curious about its potential to work with addiction, because it provided a deep root to my own soul and to my heart, and also allowed me to observe just how closed my heart had been. And of course, addictions are all about shutting down some parts of ourselves that we would then have to enliven through artificial means. Ayahuasca, this particular plant, also sometimes gives people a deep sense of their own suffering, of what is it that they've been running from all their lives. See, addiction is all about running away. It's a temporary running away from something unbearable. It's that simple. And the plant shows you what you've been running from, which can be painful and difficult, but it shows you in a very compassionate way. So, both in the sense of connecting you to a deep core self that doesn't have to run anywhere, and in terms of showing you just what you've been running away from, it can be a deep experience in the right context. None of us who are addicted have the capacity to bear pain, otherwise we wouldn't be addicted. The problem in addiction is not the pain. The problem is that we don't know how to bear it. Now, why is it that we don't know how to bear it? Because the first time that we experience pain is in childhood. Now, if a child experiences pain, but there's adults there that can hold that child through that pain and show them that, yes, pain comes, but pain passes, that child will not be traumatized. The painful experience is not the same as being traumatized. Traumatized is when there's a restriction in our capacity to handle life. And the child, the infant, whose mother is depressed, for example, the mother loved the child. My mother loved me, but she was profoundly depressed throughout my first year of life and terrorized for historical reasons. She couldn't hold my pain. She could hold me, but she couldn't hold my pain. Because for that, she needs to have something more than her own depression. She needs to be present and feeling somewhat optimistic that, okay, kid, you're in pain, but it'll pass. Now, the parent who's depressed or stressed can't hold the child in their pain. That child will not learn how to hold pain. That child will only learn how to escape from pain, to soothe it. Thumb-supping, rocking, masturbation, eating, and later on addictions. So addictions are always about not knowing how to hold pain. But the more severe the pain is, and the more isolated the child is with the pain, the greater the risk for addiction. The cases I talk about in the beginning of the book, the really severe drug addicts, as you said, they've had horrendous experiences and nobody to help them hold it.